Okay, hey, I'm Gretchen with the Dog Wizard, and what we're going to be doing today is talking about the e-collar, what we're calling our e-collar tutorial with the mini educator. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go over all the functions of the buttons and everything that you're going to learn when your dog comes home. We're trying to give you a little head start with this so that you can be one step ahead with knowing what all the functions do, and that way it'll just be a little smoother on the day we bring your dog home for the take home. All right. So I got my trusty assistant here, Pippin, who's going to be demonstrating a couple things too. So, all right, we'll get started. All right, so what we're going to do is go over exactly what comes in the box first. So you're going to have your remote, your collar, your charger, and some extra contact points up here, and a little lanyard that you can hook around your neck and hook it to the remote, which we'll go over here in a second. The first thing we're going to do is go over how to turn the collar on and off, which is obviously one of the most important parts. So on the back of the remote, you've got a on-off switch right here that is also has a big L on it, which we'll go over here in a minute. To turn the remote on, all I'm going to do is hold this button down until the screen lights up. So I'm going to hold it down, and there goes the screen is lit up, and now I've got my remote on. All right, so to turn on the collar, there is a red dot on the side of the remote right here, and there's a red dot on the top of the collar. So all I'm going to do is touch these two dots together, and when I do that, this will light up green. So you'll see that. Now it's green, and it's going to blink green and tell us that it's on and it's got a nice charge. Okay, so remember to turn the collar on every time. Obviously, that's a big, important part. Now, to make sure that I've got the collar on, if just to be triple sure, that is what this T button over on the side is for. This is what we call a test button. All it does is make the collar vibrate. So all it is doing is vibrating just like your phone would on silent. So that way I know I've got a nice charge and it's on, and no issues there. All right, so I'm going to go over the functions of the remote and what the buttons do. You see it on the screen right now that there's a 1D flashing. That just means one dog, okay? So 1D means one dog. If this was a 2-dog unit, it would be a 2D, okay? So you also notice there's a 6, which is our stimulus level, which I can adjust right here, the top here. So I can go up and down with that dial. And the C button means it's on continuous mode, which is what we send 99% of the dogs home on, continuous mode. What continuous mode does is it gives us the most options to do with the buttons. So that's why we do it. So you want to make sure that your unit has only the C on there, okay? Now, on the back, there is this little button that is an M and a C. And that is how you change the mode that your remote is in. Now, I'm going to show you how to change it just in case you ever hit it by accident and got it on a different mode, but really you just want to keep it on constant mode. So if I hit the button one time, I can change it to momentary and constant, just momentary, or just constant. So we want to keep it on just C, okay? So what momentary means is if I hit the black button up here, which is what we call the stimulus button. Both of these are stimulus buttons, but this is the one you're going to use 95% of the time. If I hit the button one time, that is on momentary mode, it would stimulate for just 1/8 of a second. On continuous mode, if I continue to hold it down, it will offer the stimulus for as long as I hold it down for. So on a M mode, even if I continue to hold it down, it would only stimulate for the split second. So what we do is we're going to keep it on continuous mode, because what that does is it gives us the option to go tap one time just like a momentary, or we can hold it down and offer the stimulus for as long as we want to. So you're going to learn a lot more about when to do this and when not to do this when your dog comes home, but just important to know what the functions do. Now that we have it on continuous mode, I can tap one time, like I said, if I want to, and kind of create a momentary button, or I can hold it down. Now what happens on the red button is this is what we call a boost button. So that will go up immediately 5 levels if I tap this button right now. So the boost button is if you need to go up quickly and you don't have the second to go dial it up. This is just a quick way to go up 5 levels. So if I use this button right now, it's going to go to level 15. So it's actually, this one is set at 20. All the collars coming out now are set at 5. This one is set at 20, so ignore the 20. It's going to be 15 when you use your collar. So the boost button is useful at some points. Their trainer will go over when that is and when you would want to use it. But it's a lot more useful at level, going up 5 levels versus 20. They used to set them coming out at 20, and it's a little too much. So, so that's what those buttons do. You've got your test button, you've got your stimulus button, your boost button, you've got your red dot to turn it on and off, and the collar on and off, and you've got your level adjuster here. All right, so on the back, we've got this cool function here, the on-off switch, which also has an L on it. What we can do with this, and this is useful if you're playing with your dog out in the dark or at night or on the beach, running around having fun, you can see where the dog is. By hitting the button one time, it's going to turn on this kind of strobe light, blinking light. If we hit it one more time, it will go to a solid light. And if we hit it again, it will go off. So it's a cool little function to use in the dark, things like that. So that is all the functions on the remote and the collar. How we're going to charge it is you've got a port here at the bottom of the remote, and you've got a port here on the back of your collar that you will plug the charger into. Okay, when you plug the charger in, it has a splitter that one can go into each. It will automatically shut the collar off, and it will turn red until it is fully charged, and then it'll go green solid, which will take less than 2 hours. The same thing with your remote. It'll turn red. This button will be lit up like this, well, like this, until it is fully charged, and then it'll go green, which will be, like I said, less than 2 hours. Okay, so when we're talking about the dial and going up and down, and this is how you will go up and down, turning this dial right here, so your levels go up and down. Try not to pay a lot of attention to the number. The right number for your dog is that they're happy, they're confident, and they're doing the right thing. So sometimes that level may be 10, sometimes that level may be 30. If your dog is working at level 30 around high distractions, that's totally normal, because they're actually feeling what they would normally feel at 10. You've just reached the level that they can that's actually communicating with them. When the distractions are high, they're dedicating a lot of their mind and mental to other things like what's going on around. So don't be too concerned with the number. Just pay attention to your dog, and the trainer will go over a lot better detail this when they actually bring the dog home and show you. But we'll have kind of a baseline of where your dog is generally at, unless the distractions are high. So, all right, Pippin, come, let's go. Good boy. All right, so I'm going to show you with Pippin on where to position the collar. Anywhere from ear to ear is what we recommend. It can go on the side of the neck, like this. It can go under, all the way around to the other side of the neck. It's not going to hurt the dog if it slides to the back of the neck. It just looks awkward. So I would just keep it anywhere from ear to ear underneath. The most important thing is making sure that you've got the collar to the right tightness. Now, when your dog comes home, there'll be 2 pieces of tape on your collar to show you exactly where to put the collar. Remember that this is kind of like a hearing aid for your dog, and the only way the hearing aid makes your dog can hear the hearing aid works is if the 2 contact points are making contact with the dog's skin. So that's why it's important to have it at the right tightness, because if you've got it too loose or then it could not be making contact, which is just like the hearing aid not being in. So as you also learn in the tutorial of the book and how we use the collar, you also want to constantly look around your dog and make sure when you take the collar off that there's no abrasions or anything forming. Sometimes just where the collar lays, if it lays in the same spot all the time, it could develop what we call a pressure sore. So just be on the lookout and just constantly, if you're got the collar on all day, just move it around so it's not resting in the same exact spot all day long. A lot of dogs, like I think I've said before, 8 out of the 10 dogs we work with never develop any issue, but some dogs do. Some dogs just have more sensitive skin, so you just want to be on the safe side and constantly looking around and making sure there's no abrasions forming. You can jump on it early and it's a lot easier to work through. So the collar and the remote are both completely waterproof, so your dog can go swimming. Even if you forgot your remote in your pocket and it went through the washer, it's completely waterproof, so that's all safe. If your dog does swim with it and you've got the collar on, be sure when your dog is out of the water that you take it off and really dry that neck well. Hot spots are way more prone to form when the dog has a wet neck. So if Pippin got wet and had the collar on, I would immediately, after he got out, it's not something you have to do immediately, but when he gets out, you want to get a towel and really dry that neck really well before you put the collar back on, because when there's wetness in there and the collar's on tight and there's no air circulating, that's how a hot spot can form really quickly. So also in your book is the owner's manual, which is going to go into a lot better detail than what I just went through. So I would recommend reading this. The more you know about it, the better, and this will give you, a lot more detailed information, but this is always here to reference as well. And that concludes our e-collar tutorial.